My name is Nadia Hill. I was 30 years old, sitting in my glass-walled office in downtown Kansas City, staring at quarterly growth charts, when my phone lit up with a single text. Send me $2,000. No hello, no explanation, just that. The message came from my stepmother, Layla. I reread it 3 times, waiting for the rest of the sentence to load. It never did. A second text followed. It's for Brock's birthday party. Don't make this difficult. I remember the hum of the air conditioner, the quiet tapping of keyboards outside my office. The irony that I was reviewing cash flow models for a company I had built from nothing, while being spoken to like an ATM by my own family. I typed back before I could overthink it. Earn it yourself. 3 minutes later, my father's name appeared on my screen. If you don't send that money, don't bother calling yourself family anymore. That was the moment everything I believed about blood, loyalty, and love cracked wide open. Before I tell you how that threat detonated my entire world, let me ask you something. If you've ever had to draw a line with your own family, if you've ever been punished for finally saying no, you'll understand exactly why I didn't back down. I grew up on the outskirts of Kansas City, the kind of place people assume is quiet and wholesome. It wasn't. My parents divorced when I was 12. 6 months later, my mother died from complications after what was supposed to be a routine surgery. One day, she was packing my lunch. The next, she was gone. My father, Robert Hill, didn't know how to grieve, so he worked. Long hours, overtime, construction sites in other counties. He left early and came home late, and I learned quickly how to raise myself. 2 years later, he brought home Layla Walsh. She owned a nail salon, always perfectly dressed, always smiling, but only when people were watching. They married fast. Before I turned 15, Layla gave birth to my half-brother, Brock. And overnight, I became invisible. Dad's attention locked onto the baby. Layla made it clear, without ever saying it directly, that I was not really her responsibility. By 16, I was working shifts at a local diner after school, not for spending money, for basics. Clothes, bus fare, school supplies. When my dad noticed, he handed me a $20 bill once and said, "This builds character." Layla, meanwhile, decorated Brock's nursery with furniture that cost more than my entire wardrobe. Designer crib, custom mural, imported toys. I slept on a pull-out couch in the basement. High school was survival. I kept my grades up because I had no backup plan. Scholarships got me into community college. Then I transferred to a state university. I waited tables, tutored freshmen, coded late at night on a secondhand laptop I bought from a pawn shop. Dad promised, once, to help with tuition. But then Brock needed braces. The money disappeared. So I took out loans, and I paid them off myself. By 22, I had built a basic app in my tiny garage apartment. It optimized delivery routes for local restaurants. It wasn't flashy, but it worked. A regional chain licensed it. The payout cleared my debt. That was the first time I felt something close to relief. I moved into a tiny studio downtown and reinvested every dollar into scaling the platform. I worked weekends, holidays, nights. When my company hit 50 employees, Dad started calling more often. At first, it was small things. A rough patch at work, a repair the house needed, a temporary cash issue. I started sending money. 500 here, 1,000 there. Layla used to text, "Thank you." Then she stopped. Brock got a new gaming setup. Layla expanded her salon. Dad upgraded his truck. I saw the charges on the joint account I had added them to, for emergencies. I told myself it was fine. Brock grew up believing money appeared when you asked. He never worked a job, never saved a dime. I kept wiring money, convincing myself that giving was the price of staying connected. But looking back, I wasn't helping them. I was funding entitlement. And by the time the requests became demands, the pattern was already locked in. They didn't see my success as mine. They saw it as theirs. After I sent that message, earn it yourself, I didn't feel empowered. I felt sick. Not because I regretted saying no, but because I knew exactly what came next. People who feel entitled don't accept boundaries quietly. They punish you for them. At first, there was silence. An hour passed. Then 2. I went back to work, sat through a stand-up meeting, nodded while my engineering lead talked through deployment timelines. My phone sat face down on the table, vibrating every few minutes like a warning. Then Brock went public. I opened Instagram during a coffee break and saw his story at the top of my feed. Black and white selfie, hood pulled low, sad music layered underneath. When your sister is rich but won't help you on your 16th birthday. He tagged me. He tagged my company. He tagged half the town. Within minutes, the views jumped into the hundreds. Comments poured in. Cold. Money changes people. Couldn't be me ignoring family like that. A few defended me, but they were drowned out by laughing emojis and sarcastic gifs. I felt my chest tighten. This wasn't about a party anymore. It was about control. By lunchtime, my dad's text arrived. "You're embarrassing the family. Fix this." No question, no curiosity, just command. Then the calls started. Aunt Linda, who hadn't spoken to me in years, left a voicemail about family values. A cousin messaged to say Brock was just a kid. Another reminded me that stress wasn't good for my father's heart. Layla called mid-afternoon. She answered crying, full theatrical sobs. "How could you do this to him, Nadia?" she said. "He's devastated. This is a milestone. You're ruining his childhood." I stared at my calendar while she listed vendors I'd never agreed to. DJ, venue, custom cake, decorations. She said we had already committed. There was no we. Brock sent voice notes next, anger dripping through every word. "You fly private for work but won't spare $2,000? Everyone's coming. Now I look stupid." Middle finger emojis followed. I muted the thread. That night, Layla escalated. She posted on her salon's Facebook page, "Prayers needed for family drama. Trying to give my son the birthday he deserves." Clients flooded the comments with sympathy. Some tagged me without naming me. Others speculated openly. By morning, the story had grown legs. A former coworker texted, "Rough move, Nadia." A LinkedIn connection asked if everything was okay at home. My phone never stopped buzzing. Dad tried FaceTime. I let it ring out. His voicemail came in sharp and cold. "This isn't about money. It's about respect. Brock looks up to you. Fix it." Behind his voice, I heard Layla coaching him, prompting the lines. The manipulation was so familiar, it hurt. Brock doubled down overnight. He posted a duet video, lip-syncing to a trending sound about betrayal. Cropped screenshots of my success articles flashed behind him. The video hit 10,000 views by morning. Strangers weighed in like they knew us. She needs therapy. Entitled rich people are the worst. Imagine flexing millions and refusing $2,000. Layla followed up with itemized quotes like proof of reasonableness. Venue, $800. DJ, $600. Cake, $500. Decor, $100. See, it's not even that much. Just approve it. What she didn't include were the messages Brock had sent to friends. Plans for a lakeside villa, a bartender, a guest list that pushed past 200. They weren't asking for help. They were demanding compliance. Then came the family meeting. A group text lit up with cousins, uncles, people who only showed up when money was involved. Tonight on Zoom, we need to talk. I declined. One uncle emailed me directly about blood being thicker than water. He ended the message with his Venmo handle. That was the moment something inside me stopped bending. I didn't cry. I didn't rage. I went quiet. The next morning, I called my financial advisor, Maya Franklin. She listened without interrupting while I laid everything out. Years of transfers, shared accounts, the public smear. When I finished, she said calmly, "Okay, let's take back control." We started with the credit cards. Layla's access, revoked. Dad's, frozen. Brock's emergency card, canceled. Then the SUV. It was technically in my name for tax reasons. I'd never thought twice about it. Maya contacted the lender, paid off the balance, transferred ownership to a holding entity I controlled. Tow instructions were issued. The college fund came next. $50,000 I'd set aside for Brock's future. Maya liquidated it and moved it into a restricted trust, accessible only after he turned 21 and completed a semester on his own dime. Penalties stung, but clarity hurt less. Confirmation emails hit my inbox one after another. I felt lighter with each one. An hour later, security buzzed my office. Layla was in the lobby, heels clicking, papers in hand, voice raised. My assistant, Kendra, met her at reception with a firm smile. Layla demanded to speak to management. Kendra escorted her out under trespass policy. Brock's texts exploded the moment school let out. "You took my car? My card got declined at the gas station. Everyone saw." He sent a photo of the SUV on a flatbed, captioned, "Thanks, sis." My dad broke his silence with a single line that evening. "You'll regret this." No explanation, just threat. Layla tried calling the office line next. She ranted about Brock missing soccer practice, about clients canceling appointments, about lawsuits. Legal flagged her reimbursement attempts as fraudulent. Brock went back to social media, this time from a friend's account. A video of him walking home in the rain, narrating how his sister cut him off. Comments were split now. Some still blamed me. Others started asking why a teenager expected his sister to fund everything. The narrative was cracking. That night, I turned my phone off completely. I stared at the ceiling and understood something with brutal clarity. This wasn't a family conflict. This was an extinction burst. They were throwing everything they had at me because the old system had stopped working. And if I gave in now, it would never end. The next morning, I crossed the point of no return. The next 48 hours were quiet on the surface. Too quiet. No calls from my dad, no posts from Layla's salon page, no new videos from Brock. That's when I knew they weren't done. People who lose access don't walk away. They regroup. I didn't wait. I called Sarah Klein, my best friend and the cybersecurity consultant who'd helped secure my company in the early days. She showed up at my condo 20 minutes later, laptop under her arm, hair still damp from the rain. I told her everything. She didn't gasp. She didn't judge. She just said, "Then let's document the truth before they rewrite it." We started with access logs, shared accounts, old permissions, historical charges. Patterns emerged fast. Event planners, vendor deposits, rental properties that had nothing to do with a birthday party. This wasn't emotional spending. It was coordinated. While we were still reviewing transactions, the intercom buzzed. Security. "Layla Walsh and Brock Hill are downstairs. They're insisting it's an emergency family matter." I froze. Sarah looked at me. "Do you want this documented?" I nodded. "Let them up." They arrived 10 minutes later, Layla clutching a folder thick with printouts, Brock scrolling his phone, earbuds hanging loose, jaw tight. No apology, no hesitation. Layla went straight for accusation. "Look what you've done," she said, dumping the papers on my coffee table. "Cards declined, repossession notices. Brock can't even buy lunch." Brock chimed in without looking up. "You happy now? You ruined my life over $2,000. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't defend myself. I called Sarah into the room. She smiled politely. "I just need Brock's phone for a moment." He hesitated. Layla snapped. "Why?" "Verification," Sarah said calmly. Reluctantly, Brock handed it over. Sarah mirrored the screen to her laptop, then to my TV. The room went silent. Hidden DMs surfaced. Event planners, a lakeside villa, DJ contracts that alone exceeded $5,000. Guest lists with 200 names, including college kids Layla had always claimed Brock wasn't allowed to hang out with. Messages from Brock saying, "Parents won't know." Another, "Bring whatever, my sister always pays." Layla's face drained of color. "This isn't a birthday party," I said quietly. "It's a blowout." Brock lunged for the phone. "That's private." Sarah pulled it back. "Not when it's used for financial misrepresentation," Layla stammered. It got out of hand." Brock exploded. "You owe me," he yelled, pacing. "Everyone gets a sweet 16. You're loaded. Why punish me?" Layla followed, tears flowing. "We'll sue. You can't cut a minor off like this." Sarah didn't flinch. "There is no legal obligation for an adult sibling to fund non-essential expenses for a minor," she said. "That responsibility lies with the parents." Layla changed tactics instantly. The folder came back out. "The house is in jeopardy," she pleaded. "Mortgage shortfall, utilities, payroll at the salon." Sarah pulled public filings, multiple refinances, vendor debt, missed payroll taxes. "This didn't start with Nadia saying no," Sarah said. "This started years ago." Brock demanded the SUV keys. Sarah displayed DMV records, corporate ownership, no teen driver listed. He collapsed onto the couch, deflated. Layla tried one last angle. "Your father's blood pressure," she whispered. "Stress could kill him." I stood up. My voice didn't shake. "This stops now." They both looked at me. "For years," I said, "I paid because I thought love meant fixing things. What I actually did was teach you that my boundaries didn't matter. Layla opened her mouth. I didn't let her speak. You treated my work like a communal account. You trained Brock to believe effort was optional. And when I said no once, you tried to destroy my reputation. Brock scoffed. You think you're better than us. No, I said. I think I'm done. Sarah outlined the next steps. Cease and desist notices. Formal closure of all shared financial ties. Documentation of harassment and defamation. Layla gathered her papers, hands shaking. You'll hear from our lawyer, she said. Brock slammed the elevator button on his way out. The door closed. The condo felt hollow. Sarah logged the access codes and backed everything up to secure storage. There's no room for spin now, she said. She was right. Within weeks, consequences started landing. Layla's salon shuttered. IRS liens appeared on the door. Clients scattered. The second location followed. Brock dropped out of high school. Transportation vanished. Friends stopped calling. My dad lost his job during downsizing. Mortgage payments bounced. They downsized, then downsized again. And I didn't step in. Not once. Because for the first time, the cost of saying yes was higher than the pain of saying no. The consequences didn't come all at once. They came quietly, methodically, like gravity doing its job. Layla fought for bankruptcy first. Chapter 13. Unsecured debt stacked from vendor contracts, unpaid payroll taxes, personal loans she'd taken out assuming someone else would always rescue her. Her credit score cratered. Leases were denied. Suppliers stopped answering emails. The salon's social media went dark. No goodbye post, no explanation, just silence. Brock vanished from the internet. His gaming accounts went inactive. The influencer energy evaporated the moment there was no one left to fund it. He earned his GED online and picked up delivery shifts, biking routes through neighborhoods he used to speed past in that SUV. Former teammates spotted him at intersections, thermal bag on his back, eyes down. My father lasted the longest in denial. He tried contract work, then unemployment, then calling distant relatives. The house went into foreclosure after the third missed payment. Years of refinancing had eaten the equity. They moved into a 2-bedroom apartment above a strip mall, utilities on prepaid plans. I didn't celebrate any of it. But I didn't intervene either, because rescuing them again wouldn't have been kindness. It would have been erasing the lesson. Meanwhile, my life expanded in ways I hadn't expected. Without constant emergencies siphoning my energy, I slept better. I focused. The company scaled into 2 new states. We launched features I'd been putting off for years because I was always putting out someone else's fires. My team noticed the shift. Clearer boundaries, stronger leadership, no personal favors bleeding into professional decisions. I redirected the money I used to send home into something different. Mentorship programs, scholarships for women from single-parent households, coding boot camps for girls who reminded me of myself at 16, working late, dreaming quietly. Giving without guilt felt different, cleaner. One afternoon, months later, a message came through my assistant. My dad wanted advice. Not money, just advice. I read it twice. Then I declined to respond. Not out of spite, out of self-respect. Because here's the truth no one tells you when you're the strong one in the family. If your love is conditional on how much you give, It was never love. It was dependency. I didn't lose a family. I lost a role I was never meant to play. And in doing so, I got my life back. If you're watching this and you've ever been made to feel selfish for setting boundaries, if you've ever been told your success belongs to everyone but you, let me say this clearly. Boundaries are not cruelty. They are oxygen. And the moment you stop funding entitlement, you finally get to breathe.